What is up, guys? It's that one dude again, Centurion1307. You know, the guy with the big-ass microphone filter that you can't get enough of? But you know what else you can't get enough of? ABK. And we are now in the final countdown. The whole preliminary injunction hearing is supposed to start this week. And of course, let's just start this week off with a little bit of a bang or a hit back from Xbox, because Microsoft actually released their whole statement to the FTC and the proceedings surrounding the whole preliminary injunction, and they kind of hit back at the FTC a little bit, at least in my opinion, from what it seems. I mean, Microsoft is definitely ready to take the gloves off and get this thing knocked out the park, get ready to just kind of get it over with. So in the statement filed by Microsoft to the U.S. Supreme Court, it was about 130 some pages long. And no, I don't want to attempt to read them here because other people have tried on YouTube and social media, and I'm sure a lot of people found that like watching paint dry. Instead, I have done all the reading, listening, and everything else in between to compile the key talking points that were outlined in those 130 some pages. And it starts with Microsoft and Activision asserting that a preliminary injunction is an extraordinary and drastic remedy that requires a heavy burden of proof. But the FTC argues that raising interesting questions towards the deal is sufficient enough for a preliminary injunction. So in going with the CMA, the FTC asks to borrow the crystal ball, and they are apparently trying to gauge things based on what could happen in the future if Microsoft is allowed to purchase Activision, and the potential harm and other scenarios that can be created from Microsoft having Activision as its own studio, like apparently the world would end. But Microsoft states that the FTC's evidence is scant and incomplete, and even suggesting that it lacks merit. They argue that the FTC's doomsday scenario and alleged harm would not materialize even if the merger was allowed to proceed. Now, what theory of harm are we talking about? Well, apparently when the FTC borrowed the crystal ball from the CMA, they also forgot to get the argument that the CMA went with, because the FTC is wanting to die on the sword on the grassy hill of Call of Duty becoming exclusive. FTC's central theory is about the merger between Microsoft and Activision would result in Xbox taking Call of Duty away from PlayStation. However, there is no evidence presented to support this theory, and even the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan, privately expressed a different view. And Microsoft outlined that in the statement, that apparently Jim Ryan said privately in some conversation that is heavily redacted that he at no time felt any worry that Call of Duty was going to be made exclusive to the Xbox platform because PlayStation is too damn big for them to do that. What makes this console theory of harm even stranger, for the fact that the FTC is wanting to die on that hill, is that 39 other countries have already denounced the theory of harm to the console market. Even the CMA themselves came out and said that there would be no harm to the console market. And the CMA are the ones that are actually blocking the deal over in the UK, but they chose to go down the road of the cloud market. This has Microsoft completely confused and demanding answers on why exactly the FTC is going against 39 other world regulators, and completely throwing out any logic out the window in the fact that they all say that there is no theory of harm to the console market, but the FTC continues to want to go down the road of disagreeing with that concept. Another big point of contention that Microsoft wants to tackle with the preliminary injunction and the proceedings along with it in these statements is the fact that the FTC arbitrarily, whatever logic they use to do this, decided to divide the gaming market into different sectors and also excluded other players out of gaming altogether, completely throwing Nintendo and PC gaming out the window and somehow just shoehorning the console competition into just being exclusively Xbox versus PlayStation. The FTC initially defined three markets: console, multi-game subscription services, and cloud gaming services. However, Microsoft and Activision challenged these definitions, claiming that gaming PCs and Nintendo should be included in the console market, and that multi-game subscription services and cloud gaming services do not constitute separate markets. We did see Microsoft months ago have a little bit of fun with the regulatory math that was used to exclude Nintendo and PC, and it pretty much made it look like PlayStation had a monopoly over the entire gaming market by excluding those two players. And Microsoft has even gone to say that cloud gaming is not its own market. It is literally a complementary service to other markets. It's not its own standalone market. And ironically enough, even the CEO over at 2K Games even said the same thing. And even PlayStation, Jim Ryan, has come out and said that there is a tough road ahead for cloud gaming. And at this point, it is not even a viable market. It is literally a complementary service to the gaming market. It is not its own market. And that's where you got to look at the size of the true gaming market, and that is including Nintendo and PC. And just like look at how Nintendo has survived without having Call of Duty on its services. And to say that by having Call of Duty exclusive to one platform is going to hurt another platform when Nintendo has survived just fine. But what really throws the arguments of harm and cloud gaming monopolization out the window is that Microsoft has offered licensing free of charge to any service that wants Call of Duty on that platform. And at that point, how do you say that Microsoft is going to be withholding content? They are literally willing to give it away for free. Come on now. What's going to make this part of the proceedings very interesting when Microsoft gets to bring it up in court was how these market definitions were created by the FTC. This was all done with the help with an economic expert by the name of Robin Lee. He obviously gave them the concept of excluding Nintendo and PC and the concept of that how exclusives harm competition in gaming. But for some reason, this is where I have to agree with Mr. Florian Mueller over on Foss Patent's Twitter, and how he stated that when this part of the proceedings come up, that the Microsoft and Activision lawyers are going to dissect the statements made by Mr. Robin Lee, because in an earlier paper published a while back, he actually included Nintendo in the market definition and actually highlighted how exclusives drive competition in gaming. So for whatever reason, months ago, whenever he wrote this paper, he had a total contradictory statement to what he is saying now under the guise of the FTC. Is this the FTC manipulating him, or is this guy just completely as crazy as the FTC chairman? We don't know, but it's going to be very interesting when he takes the stand and the lawyers get to have a field day with his very contradictory statements. In closing out the 130-some pages that Microsoft gave to the Supreme Court, they highlighted the pro-competitive benefits of the merger and argue that blocking the deal would do a disservice to competition, innovation, and customer choice, as obviously Microsoft has made agreements with Nintendo, Nvidia. Obviously, they're going to have other things going on with Steam. They're also wanting to expand cloud to like Ubisoft and other cloud providers. That is where literally they are giving more choice to gamers today, and they are also leveling the playing field, because no longer will PlayStation be able to create these outlandish perks of being a PlayStation gamer and playing Call of Duty. It's going to be a total even playing field for somebody playing on cloud, Xbox console, PlayStation console, PC, wherever they want. There's going to be no little XP boost for the PlayStation gamers. They hit back on the FTC in emphasizing that the courts have rarely sought to enjoin vertical mergers and that no court has blocked a merger to protect a dominant firm's position, and that the FTC's case is being criticized for lacking factual basis, relying on assumptions, and ignoring economic realities. Microsoft argues that the focus should be on competition rather than protecting competitors' profit margins. As we can see from this point forward, that the whole proceedings for the preliminary injunction that are going to be taking place over the next few days this week It is going to be a bare knuckle drag out fight between Microsoft Activision versus the FTC. It's going to be a very nail-biting, entertaining time, and it's going to be very interesting to watch it unfold, the drama that's going to take place, and inevitably finding out whether or not that Microsoft and Activision are going to be allowed to become one company. To keep up with it all, please like, subscribe, comment down below, all that fun stuff that YouTube likes to see. And as always, please let me remind you to always check out my end cards here on the video, check out my last video, explore my channel. And I always have to end off with saying, no matter what anybody says, be sure to play the games that you love on the platform you prefer. I am Centurion 1307, and thank you for watching.